My name is Valerie Burton. Where do I begin? My first experience was in Venezuela. It was Sunday, August 9, 1987. Two amazing things happened to me that day. Sundays were my day to fill requests, paint pieces to sell, and wash clothes for my handicraft company. My husband took the kids to the park to bike and then to my mother-in-law's. He returned home late from work. My spouse left the tools on the kitchen counter when I went there. This angered me, and I shouted, "Damn it!" This would be the day that my husband would not leave things in their place. I started to pick them up when I heard a voice say, "That's it. Everything in its place." I turned to the kitchen door and saw a man smiling in a white tunic with a golden strap. The wavy hair almost reached his shoulders. I was unfazed. He vanished. I put the tools in the box and put it in the closet under the stairwell and in front of the kitchen. Then I realized I was alone at home after setting up the tools and closing the door. Oh, if they left the door open and someone got in. I hurried to the kitchen for a knife in case of an attack. I raced and locked the front door, then the garage door, then the patio door. I then checked the lower floor's rooms, closets, and bathrooms. I repeated it in the upstairs bedrooms. In addition to checking the chest of drawers, I closed doors and shuttered all windows and access doors on the patio terrace. Only my bedroom remained. After arriving, I felt unexplained uncertainty. I remembered that the person at the door was leaning on one foot, but I didn't see any feet. Writing this gives me chills remembering my house-checking run. I realized this hovering, immovable presence was Jesus of Nazareth. He had no wounds or thorns, as they say. This relaxed me. I entered the room and thought, better I just stay over here and be done. I switched on the TV, watched the shows, and chose a movie. Fearing someone was in the house, I didn't want to shower and waited until my husband came home. After an hour and a half of TV, I thought my husband had arrived and said, "Good, they have arrived," and lay down. At that moment, I witnessed a huge search for you. My spouse took the kids to their bedroom and then came to ours. I tried to return to my body before he reached the bedroom door, but failed. The luminous ball almost entered my room through the window. My body felt heavy, and I couldn't move. Observing myself, I went to my husband, who hadn't opened the door, and joined him in the corridor. I wasn't seen. He ignored me when I spoke. After running again, I saw my body and could not move. I was cold like a popsicle, yet hot within. The light was still there when my husband opened the door. He didn't help me when I talked to him. He knelt and watched me. He stood and went to the kitchen. I tried to move but couldn't. My husband was in the lower floor kitchen, so I left my body again and ran there. Unfortunately, I couldn't down the stairs no matter how hard I tried. I raced back to the bedroom and saw the light closer to the window and almost in, making it even more lovely. I thought the maid had arrived with her sleepy daughter. I called, but she ignored me. She went to my side without seeing me. I rushed to my daughter's room and caressed and spoke to her, but nothing happened. She didn't listen. I kissed and stroked her hair, but she didn't stir. Nobody woke her. I tried running to the kitchen again, but failed. I could not descend. I raced to my son's room, but he didn't hear me. Strangely, I never unlocked the doors. I didn't know how I got in. I ran to the maid's chamber, but nothing. I spanked her and said, "Mrs. XX, it looks like they want to take me. Help me," but she didn't listen. I hurried to the kitchen after leaving her room, but found nothing. I couldn't descend. I checked my body and entered it, but nothing. I knew but couldn't move and was frozen. I got out again, bent down at the stairwell start, and saw through the wall. The only thing visible from those steps was the kitchen door. My husband drank a full glass of cold milk and crackers with cheese and ham. I yelled at him to stop eating and aid me. Nothing. He ignored me. I returned to my body after realizing I was the only one who could help me. I entered my body. The heat was tremendous, and I felt heavy. Due to its weight, I thought the bed was sinking and could tumble to the floor. Then the light went out and my spouse entered. He watches me from the bed and doesn't hear me when I tell him to help. He kneels and watches me again. I smacked him again, but he didn't see, hear, or feel me. He just shifted his head. As I prayed the Lord's Prayer, I felt like I was reciting it loudly. When it said, "Our daily bread," I returned to normal life, still cold, and I felt a strong hit and a strong sound like a big machine getting stuck. It was coming from my heart. After opening my eyes, I told my husband, "Well, my man, you are crazy. They are trying to take me away through the window, and you, instead of helping me, were just eating and did not help me." I then told him, "I am very hot. Go with me to the toilet. I do not want to be alone." He touched me and felt that I had sweated a lot and was cold, so he told me to drink this. He brought a glass of water. Still in bed, I felt heavy. I drank it, poured it on my head, and showered. I didn't want to sleep for fear of being taken. I sat all night. My experiences are varied, but these were the most powerful. Our second experience occurred in Miami. I wrote and read emails about 9 p.m. on November 12, 2011, about 3 minutes to 10. I got up and told my husband, "Good night. I'm going to sleep. I'm bored." He said, "Why at this time? It is still early. You used to go to bed around 12 midnight or a bit later." I said, "No, good night. I am bored," and went to bed. I slept face up, as usual. How long I was asleep when I awoke and appeared in the Third Global War is unknown. The wreckage was horrific, and the arms I saw were unique and rare. Death, roads, buildings, children, animals, plants, and poisoned water were everywhere. The world was vile, and I died. I returned to my body. I must return to see more. I left my body again in the morning. Much destruction. I suddenly discovered myself in my body and felt like all my lower jaw molars had been removed and was in anguish. Then I felt like ropes were pulling my neck to my shoulders, causing discomfort in both. From shoulders to nipples, I felt like a belt was tightening me. I was still and frozen. My husband was in bed, I realized. I couldn't move. Left my body again. I soared at amazing speed and found myself before God. I told him I have work to do, and boom. Returning to my body took thousandths of a second. Despite no pain, I felt peaceful. I couldn't move. Back to God, pure energy. I told him I'm alive but can't move. Bang! I returned instantly and felt the belt squeeze harder, but I was not in pain. I thought they were putting a foot-sized chip in my right forearm, going through my chest and out my left. This translucent chip had multiple transparent points. I felt energy transfer as they'd put the chip in my forearm. It was like seismographs recording an earthquake. I was experiencing the energetic roar of a large turbine, something like foo, 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 or ho, 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 while a legal-sized white sheet of paper passed around me with very close lines. After feeling no pain, I could move my right little finger. I remained cold and stiff. As soon as I touched my husband, he leaped out of bed thinking a lizard had entered. "Pinch my teeth," I said. "Call the ambulance. Call the ambulance." He heard me and called 911. I got out of bed like a robot and went to the living room. I repeated, clenching my teeth, that I had no pain but felt stiff. He told them it was a heart attack as instructed. I felt calmer when the ambulance arrived, yet I felt off. They questioned who, and I replied with clenched teeth. Though not frigid, I felt stiff and cold within when they inquired whether I had pain. They took my vitals and found no problems, surprising everyone. They then inquired about my health. I replied that I was not fully myself. I agreed to walk to the ambulance. I believed they would take longer if I said no, and I couldn't let the minutes pass since I had to move 2 cars to let the ambulance back up and wait for them to bring down the gurney. As best I could, I descended 3 steps and took 6 steps to the ambulance. I carefully laid down when they ordered me to. I remained stiff. One paramedic pinch injected my right hand, while another clamped my left to assess oxygenation. I then told the paramedic that my right hand was pinching because she couldn't find the vein. I donate blood regularly, and the first time they couldn't reach my vein. She poked me 6 times. The guy to my left inquired about my aspirin allergy. "No," I said. A man to my right said I was getting 3 children's aspirins. "Take them with this," he urged, offering me a glass. I took them. I was asked about my medications. I said my thyroid was removed with a radioactive tablet. I vomited something dark or intense wine because I felt like something was coming out, like a gelatinous liver. Throwing up left of the paramedic. My spirit left the ambulance and began to fly at that instant. I heard one say, "Take away the pantyhose. Take away the pantyhose." I fought to cling on, but I was within a huge light salmon dome. I saw a lovely city far away and turned around to see my body on the gurney in the ambulance, another ambulance behind it, and my husband driving my car. I didn't care. Only continuing my flight to the magnificent city interested me. I heard several people shouting my name, but I just wanted to keep exploring the wonderful city. I listened to voices in the hospital with several tubes on my face and continued my trip to the beautiful city. Turning, I observed my spouse chatting to a man in a suit and white shirt in an office distance from me. I saw 25 people surrounding me and kept soaring. Suddenly, I heard surgical instruments making a silvery sound. I sensed sternum noises. I kept flying and told my husband, "Tell him I don't have a thyroid, that I take artificial hormones." He said he didn't remember my medications. I said, "Tell him X in milligrams." He didn't listen. To get his attention, I spoke louder, but nothing happened. I tried to hold my husband's hand, but it went through, and I yelled, "You can answer that I take X." I kept flying, and he answered with the medicine's name, which the man wrote down. A large, bright, salmon-colored coral block falls in front of me during my trip to the gorgeous city, becoming closer. I flew around it to pass, and my trip continues. As you approach the city, another block falls diagonally. I was delayed entering the city by the block. They repeated it 5 times, each time making the block bigger and the city more beautiful and closer. Just as I was about to enter the huge metropolis, a loud, dictatorial voice said my name. A powerful force, like a turbine, pulled me back. When I returned, I saw the moon and a gigantic translucent jellyfish-like entity holding the moon above his head and Earth between his feet. Other people were bringing my body to another room, not the same people. It was my spouse sitting outside with tears in his eyes. He was little removed from where they took my body. I was put on a bed without throat tubes. I opened my eyes and asked, "What is going on?" I felt calm and secure. A nurse told me I couldn't stand. One of the doctors arrived when she called. Over the gurney, 25 people surrounded my body. He inquired, "Madam, how are you feeling? Do you have any pain?" "Very tranquil," I replied. "Not at all." He told me I couldn't move because of a mesh stent in my heart and a clogged femoral artery. I said, "Yes, I have seen it." The intensive care unit fed me saline solution until the 15th, when they forced me stand at 3 o'clock the afternoon. I was home doing my usual routine without chest pain, only pelvic pain. I worked regularly and took medicine 2 weeks later. I had sternum soreness after a year. Please note that multiple times during my excursion to the beautiful city, I turned around and saw my body close by, but I did not want to leave it and continue my vacation. Flying made me happy and had a lovely breeze. The air intensity changed with speed. I could accelerate or decelerate.